Hello world, this is Lisa Friedrichsen, your friend and computer science professor from Johnson County Community College. And in this short screencast, we're going to talk about console.log as a JavaScript statement and why it's so essential for your development productivity. So here I have a small web page that's created these three buttons: say hi to Lisa, say hi to Kristen, say hi to Julia. And I also have a JavaScript function that I have assigned to the on-click property of each of these three buttons, so that this paragraph here that's ID'd hello says hi Lisa or hi Kristen or hi Julia when I click these buttons. When you're working with JavaScript in a web page, you're going to want to right-click that web page. I'm in Chrome here, but it works basically the same way in all the current browsers, and inspect. When that developer window opens, it typically opens to the Elements tab, which is helpful to identify elements and also fiddle with their styles in a real-time environment. We're going to work on the Console tab, which is the tab that helps you when you're writing JavaScript. And it helps in at least three ways. The first way is if you happen to write a statement that the JavaScript engine cannot read, you're going to get a very helpful error message in the console. So this statement in my function, document.getElementById hello, is pointing to this paragraph. But if I mistyped this and put ELLO instead of HELLO, save and refresh, as soon as I trigger that function by clicking one of these buttons, then I'm going to get an error message. And it's telling me it cannot set the property text content, which is this property, of null. So in other words, it's telling me that this is null. And it's even telling me the line number. And I could click that and show the JavaScript code in the sources window of the developer window. But since I have my actual saved file here to the left, I'm just going to go right back to the left and go back to the console and look at that statement and realize that there is no element with the ID of ELLO, and that's where my error is. So no matter what your JavaScript error is, a missing parenthesis, a missing curly brace, an incorrect property name, an incorrect method name, an incorrect object name, or just something that cannot be found, which is the case here, you're going to get some sort of error message there. And the longer you write JavaScript, the more comfortable you'll get and proficient you'll get at reading those error messages. But they're absolutely essential debugging your JavaScript code. The second way I really love the console is because you can use it to log out information. So as soon as I declare a variable, in this case I declared a const variable named person, and I've assigned it to this.id, which is going to end up being whichever button I've clicked, its ID property, which is the ID attribute of that element. And I'm logging that out in addition with the word person. If I click say hi Lisa, person : Lisa, this button is this, and here's the ID, this.id. Say hi to Kristen. Now this button is clicked and this.id ends up being Kristen, and say hi to Julia. And so I love being able to log out what I'm working with. Now you may just not even be familiar with this yet, so I want you to know that you can console log out anything. Let's just console log this. I'll save, I'll refresh, I'll click say hi to Lisa, and now this coming from line 16 is telling me, here's what this is. It's a button with the opening tag, the content, and the closing tag. It's that entire element is this in that case. I can console log this.id, save, refresh, say hi to Lisa. Now on line 16, I'm just pulling the ID off of that button instead of the entire element. So it's extremely helpful. You can even go to the console here and the command prompt and start typing JavaScript statements. So for example, let's just examine what the document is. As soon as I press enter, I get returned the entire document, which is all of the HTML from the doc type HTML tag through the closing HTML tag. I can type document dot and see all of the properties that are available for the document object. I can type getElementById, that method, and I know that I'm working with a method by the little F function symbol here. If I put a left parenthesis in to start putting in the arguments for the get element by ID method, I get a little prompt as to what that needs to be. And if I put something in that doesn't exist, I'll just put ABC, I'll get a return of null. I can press my up arrow key and modify that to something that I do know exists and see what is returned in my console. Now, of course, we don't typically want to use our console to write a lot of JavaScript because it's not saved. As soon as I refresh that page or as soon as I click the clear console, all those statements are gone. If I want to save the code, I obviously have to put it in an external file and save it and then open it in the browser to run that code. But it certainly is helpful just to play with your document and see if a statement is going to work before you go to the effort of putting it in your actual external JavaScript file. For example, I could change the style property, the color property of the style property to red, and I can see that result here, that particular statement works, and see the result here in my web page and be ready to move that statement over into my actual production JavaScript. So those are the 3 ways I love the console, and I recommend it. It's your best friend when writing JavaScript. First of all, to display errors that might occur in your code. Second of all, to log out any variable names or text and variable names. And third of all, to just write statements, what that statement returns, or if that statement's valid code before you put it into your production JavaScript. Thank you.